Hello and welcome to October Rose Fibre Art, episode number 4. My name's Fiona. I'm from the Hunter Valley in New South Wales, Australia, and I'm here to talk to you today about everything crafty in my life. So I've got a few things, got a few acquisitions. Do I have a finished object? That is the big question. So last episode I spoke about my willow branch jumper that I was making, which is coming along nicely, but have I finished it? That's the big question. So stick around to find out. I want to start with some acquisitions today because I couldn't find one at the end of last episode to talk about. So I want to talk about that. Plus I'm going to fix my collar up here. Plus I've got a few others that I've actually just been given this morning. We've been out for lunch today with my mum and my grandmother, and they've been very kind to give me some things. So I want to share those with you because they're absolutely amazing. And I'm really excited about sharing those and getting some opinions on what you think I should make as well. So first of all, I'm going to start with my purchase that I got from the Knitters Picnic in Dungog. So it is this lovely skein of sock yarn from Craft by Bella. So I was lucky enough to get to share a room with Bella at the Knitters Picnic. We had a lovely day and a lovely chat with each other. So hi Bella, it was really lovely to meet you. And I still like to support, even though I dye my own yarn, I still like to support other small dyers. And I bought this lovely skein and I've had it put aside because I wanted to show it. I'm going to cake that up and start knitting some socks with it tonight. I think I'm tossing up what colour to use for my heels and cuffs. I'd like a contrast colour, and I'm thinking maybe a teal or a green. Maybe this green up here in the background there. I've got a skein of that here as well. So maybe this one. So this is, and I wanted to show these today as well. So this is a yarn that I dyed a little bit earlier in the year, and I kept it as a colourway just for Dungog. This is now released on my website, so maybe those two together. Otherwise I think I've got like a teal left over from a pair of socks that I knit last year. Let me know what you think. So in the comments let me know. Is that going to be the green, going to be my contrast for this lovely skein? It's not bad. I do like it. Other colorways, I'll keep going with those. So other colorways that I dyed and I sort of kept to release at Dungog. Is this lovely pinky reddy color. It's got some nice variegation through it. So now available on my website. I've updated those. And this is my favorite. This makes me, it's got some lovely pink in it there. And some darker reds, some lovely yellows with some splashes of pink. Makes me want to eat pavlova. It reminds me, because it's kind of got that variegation in the yellow, it reminds me of a pavlova. I think I've written this on the website. Pavlova drizzled with passion fruit, some cut up strawberries, some cream on top. Summer in a plate. So summer in a sock. I love this colorway. I think I'm going to cast a set on with those as well. So very excited. And then this lovely green, it's got flecks of, I don't know if it's sort of coming up, it's like a tealy with flecks of brown. Really quite beautiful. So I was very, very proud of them when I dyed them up. I was like, oh, these colorways just sing to my heart. So they are now available on the website, so octoberrosefibreart.com.au if you wanted to get your hands on some of those. I'm shipping to Australia at the moment. If you are somewhere else in the world, maybe just send me a message and I can go and get shipping calculated. If you're local to the Hunter Valley, let me know and you can either come and pick up, or I can perhaps arrange to drop it in. We'll see how far away you are and where I'm going on my travels at the moment with rugby. All right, keep going. Another lovely yarn that I picked up I got it from Spotlight. So last episode, again, I talked about my nail binding, and I'm very keen to keep going with that, yet I didn't have any wool that was suitable. So I've got this Abbey Road from Spotlight, 100% wool. It's a nice chunky yarn that will be perfect for nail binding. So you use the the wool, 100% wool, so that you can felt it together with your ends, because you can only work with a short, because you're working with a needle and sort of knotting it, and so you can only work with short lengths at a time. So you cut probably 40 centimeter length, and then you need to like work with that length, and as you're getting close to the ends, you felt on another piece of wool. So it's very important when you're doing your nail binding. Well, it's not very important. You could use other wool, and Vicky, who taught the workshop, showed us some other ways to bind it together to be able to keep going, but using the wool and being able to, if you haven't done it before, it's a really good trick, and you can do it with your knitting as well. If it's 100% wool, you fluff out the ends like this on both pieces that you're going to join. A little bit of water, a little bit of warm water helps. Put both ends on your palms together and then just rub them together, and it will felt those ends together, and you can then just keep knitting. I know that that's a technique that a lot of people use. I use it when I'm using 100% wool. I haven't had any issues with it coming apart, and it's really good because you don't then have to go and weave in extra ends. So I'd recommend that. Don't tug on it too tight. Once you sort of knit it and you use it in your work, it will stay together. So I plan on doing some nail binding over the next few weeks and having a go at this. I'm really excited about it. So another thing that I need to talk about, I have got a finished object. Actually, I've got two. One I can't show you. So one of my finished objects was a quilt top that I have done for my quilt show with my quilting group in September, and I want it to be a secret, so I'm not going to talk about that one today. I have finished it. I took it to the quilter yesterday, and she's going to quilt it for me and hopefully get it back to me so I can get the binding on it and then get it ready for the quilt show. So I'm very excited about that, but unfortunately I can't show you. It did only take me a few hours once I got into it, which was really good, and it was, yeah, it looks lovely. It's really quite amazing. There's a whole story that goes along with it that I'll share when I'm able to show that. I do have another finished object. So this cabinet behind me, we've picked it up on Wednesday, so it's a new cabinet. Between last podcast and this podcast, I decided to change our rooms around in our new house. So just moving house, we had it set up. I sort of decided, I finally kind of got it to a place where it was like, hey, it's looking clean and organized, and then decided to move beds around and furniture around and bookcases around. So don't ask me why I do these things to myself, but I do. And in my shifting of furniture, I found a little project bag that had these socks in them. I can't remember the name of them now. So these are, and I have two. These are a crocheted sock. You crochet them from the toe to the cuff. I have a feeling they're just called the Lazy Days Shorties by Marta Mitchell. And she released these as a crochet along with a beautiful skein of yarn. I didn't buy them. I actually pattern tested these. So I didn't buy the kit. I can't remember why now. But I was able to get the pattern and pattern test it. And again, it's one of those things. I don't know why I do these things. I had done one sock, and then the other sock, I only had this little bit to go. So pretty much from my fingers up is all, I have an end to sew in. But all I pretty much had was from my fingers up to do, and both socks were done. So I don't know why I had put it away. It took me maybe 2 hours if I was, being exorbitant in my time frame. But otherwise, they were really, really quick to finish. They are in an 8-ply or a DK weight yarn. For these, when I pattern tested, so I think I remember what the process would happen. I did pattern test them over a year ago. I think I did them all in this purple yarn. And then they were too big. I did a bigger size, they were too big, and then I redid them. And then if I was going to do both in the purple, I wouldn't have had enough yarn. So what I did is I've come back and then done them again. So I think all up I've probably crocheted 4 socks to get 2. So I've crocheted them again with this colour on the toe, with a contrast for the toe and the heel. So I've held a fingering weight double for the toe and the heel. So it was out of stash. Again, as a long-term whip, I found it and there were no ball bands in it, which is never helpful for anyone. But I was able to finish them off. Luckily, I had the PDF of the pattern. I was able to finish them off, and I am thrilled that I now have a finished object for my feet, and they're going to be super warm. I don't mind the crocheted socks. I think they're really comfortable. I find I'm quicker at crocheting socks than I am at knitting them. I find the texture of them fairly good. I'll probably wear these inside my slippers as well. But lovely, lovely. And I love the colours. Not colours I'd usually kind of choose, but absolutely beautiful. So I have a finished object. I have 2 more that I'm going to talk about. However, I am stealing these. These aren't my finished objects. They were gifts from my mum and my grandmother, who are both, we're a multi-generation of crafters in our family. My mother does the most exquisite crochet. She's done this beautiful doily for me. So I gave her I think it was a Twilly's 20, so I gave her the yarn. I found it in my stash. Again, she was here when I was cleaning out and moving, and I'm like, it's been in there for 20 years. I bought it when I was in my late teens because I think I got it on sale from somewhere. And I didn't know what to do with it. I've made some things for myself. And then when we were visiting her today, she said, oh, I made this for you. So absolutely lovely. Cannot be more thrilled with that. So I said to them, I'm gonna share them on my podcast as finished objects. So I didn't finish them, but they're just beautiful. I might actually put it somewhere along here in my new cabinet so that I can look at it all the time. And then my grandmother, who again is just an amazing crafter, has given me this beautiful panel. So this is a sashiko design. And she's been sitting and stitching overnight time. She had a few there to choose from. And this one called to me. We've been, and living in the Hunter Valley, it's really fun. It's really, really close to Pecolburn, which is very touristy, and they very often have hot air balloons. And where we now live, when I drive to work and drive the kids to school, we go down a bit of a hill and we can see the hot air balloons in the distance. And as soon as I saw this one, I saw these, I guess they're kind of baubles, but they reminded me of the hot air balloons, and I thought, oh, that'd be really, really fitting because we see them all the time. The kids love pointing them out, and as we drive along, we try and see how many we can count. So there's another big one here. So even though there's flowers around them, that's just what it reminded me of. And so I thought, oh, how fantastic. I'll grab that one. So another episode of what would you make with it? Beautiful panel. It's the width of the fabric, so 112 centimeters wide, probably 50 centimeters this way. What would you make with it? I want to make something with it because I'd love to have it in my house. So do I just bind it, do a bit of quilting and have it as a wall hanging? Would you make it into a bag? Would you make it into a bigger quilt or something to put over the end of the bed? I don't know. I'm going to think on it, but I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts on what you would make with a beautiful sashiko panel. So lovely. So again, it's not mine, but I'm going to show it because it's craft and it's amazing, and people are so generous in what they give sometimes. So thank you to my mum and my grandmother for those. They're absolutely beautiful. Okay. I've just noticed I've got kids sneaking in and out as I'm talking, and I've got a little started project here from my daughter that she's put on my pile of things to show. So very, very cute. She has been wanting to learn cross stitch, and when we went to Spotlight the other day and I picked up that other ball of wool, I went to buy backing for the quilt that I've made and that I've sent to the quilter, but she asked me, can I buy a little cross stitch quilt, and I said yep, sure. So we went and had a look, and this was the one that she chose. So she's made some good progress on that. It's very cute, very lovely. It's nice to add another generation of crafters to our family as well. Whilst I'm talking about acquisitions, I'll talk about this one. One of my friends a few of my friends went to the quilt show down in Sydney a few weekends ago now, and I was watching on Instagram Hatched and Patched. She does lovely whimsical stitcheries and makes amazing projects out of them. I think up here is a container of kits that I've purchased and saved from her over the years. And as she was going through her stall on her Instagram, I screenshotted a bag that I really liked, which is this Love to Sew drawstring bag. So absolutely beautiful little bag there. I love her work, so I know I'm never going to be disappointed. So I got her to buy me the kit, so I've got all the things in there, and I am going to make that. With my collection of kits, I think I'm going to try and really knuckle down and each podcast have one started, finished, or in progress, because I do need to get through my stash because I buy all these things. They're so beautiful. A lot of them I bought pre-kids when I had more disposable income, but I also need to start working on them and getting them completed. A lot of them are for nice little bags or little quilts that would be really lovely gifts, or that I could use myself for my projects. So I think I'm going to make a real effort now that I have a craft room, make an effort to start finishing some projects. So it's a cute another little acquisition that I have at the moment as well to work on. Okay, so now for the answer to the big question, and I know everyone is wondering how much of the jumper did I actually get through. The answer is quite a bit. I'm very happy with my progress. A jumper for me does take quite some time. So I'm knitting a size 7. I am curvy, I like to call it. So I do obviously need to knit bigger garments than a lot of other people that are knitting, and it takes longer. It can be quite a substantial extra number of stitches per garment. Well worth it though. I do love my hand knitting. So last time I spoke to you, I had finished the yoke, and I was, I think, maybe not quite up to this blue stitch here. So I have finished the body. So from here to here, and then picked up and done the neck. Now, I did the ribbing, and I did a twisted rib, so 1x1 twisted rib. And then went back and read the pattern, and the pattern didn't call for the twisted rib. It just called for a 1x1 ribbing. But I like the twisted rib. I'm not going to redo it. It took me quite some time, and I love it anyway. So I'm quite happy to keep that in. I have picked up for the sleeve. So I did maybe 2 rounds last night, early this morning on it last night before I went to bed. So I have picked up for the sleeve. You can see it all there. So one sleeve ready to go. and then I'll come over and do the other sleeve. The cuff on this pattern is quite long, so quite a lot of ribbing, so we'll see how that goes, but I think I'm going to keep it. I think I'm finding as I'm getting more comfortable with doing things like ribbing. So for the bottom here, we had to knit, I think it was like 7.5 centimeters. And I know a few years ago, if it said something like that, I'd get to 7 centimeters and be like, oh, that's enough, and call it. But I've noticed as I'm getting older, I guess, and as I know that I'm going to like it more if I put in that little bit extra effort, I make sure I knit the whole 7.5, if not over a little bit, before I bind off, because it just makes me happier. It gives me a better finished product. Taking shortcuts when you're knitting garments for yourself does not actually help you in any way, shape or form. Lesson learnt the hard way, knitting garments and having them too short or just not quite right and not being happy with them. So I do take that extra effort now. Don't take any shortcuts. The only thing that I did different to the pattern was I added 4 rows into the bottom, just because I felt like I wanted that little bit of extra length, and I'm happy that I did. I think that I will be a little bit happier. I don't want it super cropped. I'd like it to sit comfortably, I guess where your belt line is. And yeah, so I did do a couple of extra rows, and sometimes I can find my gauge will be slightly off as well, and I'd rather it longer than shorter. Now, out of that big 400 gram ball, so if you haven't watched my previous episode, I am using this Hayfield Bonus Aran. So it's an acrylic with 20% wool. They are 400 gram balls. They have 840 meters to 400 grams. I bought these for a pattern test a couple of years ago. I crocheted a lovely cardigan with them, with a different colour, and I bought more because I was going to do 2 cardigans. I always, when I start things, overestimate how much I can actually get done. But then I decided not to do the same cardigan again and to use it for something different. So it's been sitting in my stash for a little while. I've got 4 balls of this that I wanted to use up. So I think my plan is, just in that, left over from the body and the neck, I have this ball. So I decided to start the second ball and put this into my scraps. The second ball should be enough to do both arms without having to join, fingers crossed, because I really like the idea of getting to the end of this project and only having a few ends to weave in. Ends aren't always my favourite. I get them done, but if there's less, that's a little bit easier. So that's left out of one ball. I'm onto my second ball for the arms. I did have some yarn vomit occur, so that'll be my knitting for tonight, trying to get through that so it's all nice and neat again. But I'm loving the pattern. It'll be stockinette with decreases for the sleeves. Can I knit 2 arms or 2 sleeves in 2 weeks? I think that's now the question. I'm hoping to podcast again in 2 weeks' time, and I would absolutely love to be able to show you a finished project. If I can do that, I'll very easily meet my deadline of having it finished by my birthday. We've got a bit on this weekend though, so we've just been on holidays, which is why I've been able to get so much done. We're all back to school, back to work on Monday. So, and then we've got sport tomorrow, and we've got Sunday will be getting ready for the week ahead, ironing uniforms, just making sure that we're ready, getting some groceries done. So I'm probably going to slow down on my knitting time for the next little while, but very, very happy with the progress that I've made over these holidays. I think, I don't know, I should get it done. I'm gonna back myself. I can get this done. Other than that, I think my pile is now clear. Thank you for joining me today. I always forget to say this, but don't forget to like and subscribe. so that you know when I release another video, and then hopefully that way when I give an update on this jumper, you'll get an alert and you'll be able to see whether I've met that deadline in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time, am I going to be sitting here with a finished project to show you? Let's see. Other than that, have a great day, have a great time crafting, and I'll chat to you next time.